All right, so strategies for finding new intent white space areas to cover. I should be able to get through this in 6 minutes. So the first is your standard content gap. Ahrefs has a really nice content gap built into it where you can put your domain as well as 3 to 4 competitor domains, and they'll essentially tell you like where you're missing coverage, right? I think it's important to note that you can also do this on a page level, or you can do it on a subsection level. So if your competitor has a lot of content that's not really relevant to what you're doing, you know, the common way to handle that is to put either a section, just target a section of the competitor site, but you can do it. In this case, I've done it at a page level between IMDb, Wikipedia, Apple TV, and you know, you do see some interesting ones here, like where was Coda filmed, right? Like film location could be something that IMDb adds to as an intent to all of their movies. I mean, that one thing could be a large net win for IMDb just with that one additional feature added to their pages. One note here is I wish Ahrefs would include a SERP feature filter here to exclude site links. Site links typically denote navigational queries, and I like to stay away from navigational queries if I can, just since those tend to rank higher and be less likely to drive traffic than others. So that would be a good add if anyone from Ahrefs is listening. But here's another one. This is SEMrush. Same thing. You can add in a page or a domain or a subdomain or a subfolder, and then several competitors, and then they'll give you essentially where you're missing compared to your competitors. I like, as I said, Ahrefs version better for me, but I do like the fact that SEMrush has a nice pivot that seems really helpful for SEO and SEM teams. In addition, I love whoever at SEO, I love whoever made the decision at SEMrush to make their API a lot more accessible than the large charge of $500 a month, so that agencies can have more self-service access to it. Another area is reviewing aspirational owned keywords, right? So Google is the world's best relevance engine at knowing how good content is to keywords, right? Or to search queries. So there's a lot of clouds of misses outside of the top 20. You're not really relevant for that. Somebody else, like a lot of other people, are more relevant for that, but you're kind of relevant for that. So I think looking through, and you can see here, I think, I don't remember which site I did this on, this page I did this on, it may have been IMDb, but I just looked for positions 50 to 100, right? With a max volume or a minimum volume of 300, just to get a dump of keywords that I could look through in that category. And you can see there's 84,000 keywords, position 50 or higher, that are somewhat relevant to this site, but that they don't have content really targeted for. Using a bit of Python, there's a library called NLTK that has or maybe it's scikit-learn that has a function called count vectorizer and ngrams. And I won't go into a lot of detail about ngrams. It's just, you know, it takes a phrase and like if you have the phrase "the black cat," it'll return "the" is a 1 gram, "the black" is a 2 gram, and then "the black cat" is 3 gram, right? Pretty simple. But you can essentially throw in, you know, 1,000, 10,000, 80,000 keywords and just ask it to return back to you. In this case, just the top instances of 5-word n-grams found across all of those keywords, right? So in the top 50 example I showed before, we showed, Blu-ray, people looking for the Blu-ray version of it. That's a potential additional intent, where they can watch the movie for free. The streaming service that the movie is available to see, movie is available on, like where you can watch it by location, maybe even song lyrics associated with that movie, or songs in that movie. So just from a really quick dump of IMDb here, and then just one tool, count vectorizer, and you're able to just really quickly parse through, hundreds of thousands of keywords and find kind of some unique categories of intent that you can maybe add to your intent matching data to this point. And obviously, either add new content or features to existing pages, or to even generate brand new pages targeting those intents. Another area of, there's a couple of tools in the Python ecosystem called Flare and Spacey. This is one of my favorite things here. But again, taking, hundreds of thousands of keywords that you find, and then running it through Flare's tagging, named entity recognition. This second one here essentially filters out anything lower than 1 percentile, or anything above the 99th percentile, which is really great at getting rid of misspellings, like the Netflix example, that are really infrequently in your data set. And things like stop words like the, to, that don't really add any unique value to the intents. And the final thing here is lemmatization, which takes phrases like providers and makes them provider, right? So that you're not looking at duplication of those types of queries. But you can see on the right here what this does, which is internet provider, location, city, internet provider, location, which this would match across a bunch of keywords saying internet provider Raleigh, internet provider Charlotte. But you're essentially able to just distill hundreds of thousands of keywords down to a much more manageable set of intents by doing some of this analysis first. And you're just not going through page after page after page after page of the same types of keywords. In terms of mining for new intent opportunities, we like the API value SERP. It's very cheap. And I like to do a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon strategy, where I essentially give it a set of our base keywords. So these are the keywords that I know about. So these are the keyword archetypes that I know about that I want to rank for, right? And then we'll actually just crawl Google for those keywords and pull back related phrases, throw the related phrases into a bucket, and then crawl all the related phrases, throw those into a bucket, and just keep doing that, several times. And at the end of that, you can come back with, hundreds of thousands of different queries in like an hour, right? That some kind of go on tangents, but a lot of them are really relevant, or can give some ideas of some new intent areas. But yeah, this is like a really recurse related. The depth is 4. I want it to recurse those things 4 times that it finds. And then, yeah, all of a sudden, this was from one keyword, but we pulled back a list of recursing like 4 times. I think it was like 500-600 different related queries from just the term coda, right? So really easy to find a lot of related, not only searches, but you can do the same thing for people also ask questions. People also ask questions are equally impressive. So this is what one of our we either port these to BigQuery or using Google Sheets, but we'll get all of our keywords here, and then we actually manually, we have internal processes that do a lot of the NLP, the name entity recognition, and then do some clustering to be able to come through here and assign categories to things. And the categories are essentially the intent here. So landscaping, Dutchess County, landscaping location, right? Landscaping, Niceville, Florida, landscaping location. You can see how all these different searches here just rolled up into this one kind of intent focus here. Then the goal of this is to get from looking at hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands or 100,000s of keywords and looking at like 100 intent categories, looking at 100 intent categories and how you're performing and how they align to journey and stage and everything is a heck of a lot easier to manage than hundreds of thousands of keywords. This also gives you a set of labels here. If you take the time and very rigorous with going through and validating, I've shown some of the examples before of how NER can get it wrong. So actually going through your data and making sure that everything is labeled appropriately before taking it to some of the machine learning pipelines like NEMO is a really critical step. But another interesting area is that after you've labeled a lot of your intents into your different intent classes, you can actually run tools like, again, NEMO to give you predictions, like what is a certainty with which it's classifying this intent. So CODA movie language is movie information. CODA for Windows is software, right? And it's giving here the percentage of certainty that it thinks it's making that prediction with, right? So obviously, higher certainty means it's a good classification. Low certainty either means that it's like a really ambiguous intent. Like if I just put in like every one of these classes would be low certainty, but it's also an opportunity that maybe this is a brand new intent, right? So actually there are other research pipelines going through and just trying to look at kind of bad classifications and intent classifications and really using those to mine and look at different new intent opportunities for chatbots. But here we're taking that application and moving it over to the search space.
Now, if you liked this ClearScope webinar snippet, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe so you don't miss out on more great tips and strategies from the industry's best SEOs and content marketers. Make sure to check out the ClearScope YouTube channel for more great content.